Like the way that I grew up, it was you get to home ownership as quickly as you can. You don't carry debt. That was my Eastern Bloc, first generation Canadian mentality of never carrying a debt. So it never even occurred to me that like you can pull equity from your home to then purchase another thing. Like I'd heard about it, but that was something abstract that other people did. And it wasn't something that was for me or my family. So now having this like insight into this whole other world of using a second property to help pay off this current property and seeing that we could be, mortgage free in less time than what we had originally signed up for was not anything I thought we would be doing or something I hadn't even thought about.
Hey friends, have you ever wondered how you can pay off your mortgage faster? Or maybe you like to help your kids get into the real estate market? Or better yet, retire with some passive income? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sylvia Ho Mortgage Podcast. My name is Sylvia. I'm here to teach you how to achieve your goals simply by owning just one more property. On today's podcast, we're talking to Mima. Mima's a client who's in the JUMP program, and she just bought her first rental property last night. We're going to talk about the emotions that she's feeling, the numbers that she's looking at. We're going to talk about how she interviewed the real estate agent. And then we also talk about how she was originally thinking about buying something here in the Toronto area, and she ended up doing more research in outskirts of Toronto and ended up buying in Peterborough. If you guys want to learn more about the JUMP program is all about owning just one more property. Click below. All it takes is 15 minutes for us to chat to see if this program works for you. So you just bought your first rental.
Yes.
Talk to me. How are you feeling?
Excited and then terrified and then excited again and then terrified again. So yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's exciting times. Now, we just went over your Excel sheet and your numbers. How do you feel like if we put the emotions aside and we just look at numbers, how are you feeling about the numbers?
I mean, the numbers look great. Yeah, as you said, we went through the sheet and what the outcome that we're going to see, hopefully in 10, 15 years is not anything we would have been able to do, I don't think, without acquiring a second property and following your program. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Beautiful. So now, when you first came to me, what were you looking for?
Our 5-year term was up on our current home. We're just kind of like shopping around for rates and wanted to find a new agent to kind of help us out. And it was a Facebook group actually that I'm a part of. And I searched it and your name came up and they were like, oh, and Sylvia helped us with another property and helped us figure out the numbers. And I was like, can we do this? And then that's what I reached out to you and you were like, yes, you can. I'm pretty sure.
Awesome. So your mortgage was up for renewal. You were searching for a good connection to renew your mortgage. And that's it. That's what you were looking for, right?
That was it. Yeah.
Okay. The world of real estate, investing in real estate. How has that perspective changed on wealth building for you now?
Like the way that I grew up, it was you get to home ownership as quickly as you can. You don't carry debt. That was my Eastern Bloc, first generation Canadian mentality of never carrying a debt. So it never even occurred to me that like, you can pull equity from your home to then purchase another thing. Like I'd heard about it, but that was something abstract that other people did. And it wasn't something that was for me or my family. So now having this like insight into this whole other world of using a second property to help pay off this current property and seeing that we could be, mortgage free in less time than what we had originally signed up for was not anything I thought we would be doing or something I hadn't even thought about.
Right. Beautiful. Now, tell me about the process when you're going through this whole JUMP program. Like, was it as hard as you thought it was, or was it easy? Did you know that you could even do it?
I wouldn't say it was easy because the learning curve was pretty steep for me. I mean, I've 75,000 conversations by now with my 75,000 questions. So it was fast paced for me. Like I'm trying to understand of where the expenses go and how do you acquire these interest rates and how do you lock in and all these things that I didn't know how they worked. But your spreadsheet is amazing. And just, every time I had questions, I would just go to the spreadsheet and look through the different scenarios. And that was super helpful. So I wouldn't say easy, but the way that you kind of explained everything, it felt attainable to me.
Okay.
Like following the steps.
Absolutely. You go to the gym and you're learning to like work out a new muscle and build that muscle up. It's a learning curve. It takes work. It takes effort, right? But then when you know what the goal is, right? So talk to me about like, what is your goal of attaining a second property? Like, why did you want to do this in the first place?
Primarily for our kids. We have a great house now. We're in Toronto's West End neighborhood. And, financially, like I'm not really worried, but I want to be able to like pay for their weddings and pay for their universities. And if they want to go to the States and, hopefully they're smart enough to get scholarships, but just in case to pay for whatever the kids are going to need. So ideally we have that property for that reason. And then maybe even so we can retire a little bit early.
Great. Okay. Kids in early retirement. Now we talked about this a little bit earlier in the interview. You are in the process right now where you just bought your rental. Your offer just got accepted
yesterday.
last night. And I got this email from you like, Sylvia, what am I getting into? Talk to me about those feelings.
100%. Well, the market is crazy everywhere. And, we thought we had a pretty healthy budget in the neighborhood where we were looking. I don't know if you want me to like go into details about.
Yeah, whatever you feel comfortable. Yeah, talk about it.
So I researched a number of neighborhoods. Peterborough stood out for a number of reasons, but primarily like it's good location. It's kind of closest to Toronto, an hour and a half outside the city. The lakes are in that direction. There's a college and university. There's a government building, like all these things. And the houses aren't super old. The basements have great ceiling height. The homes that we saw, the home inspections looked good. They're all detached on big lots in case of future development. Most of them have side entrances. So all these things that we felt were good qualities in a home seem to be were in Peterborough and not in other places. I also checked like West End, like St. Catharines, Welland, and houses are like really old and basements aren't really an option for what we're hoping to turn into like a suite apartment. So anyways, Peterborough, but I guess everybody is thinking Peterborough because what we thought was a good budget ended up like we weren't even close with our budget. We thought 600,000 would get us a house there, but that was not the case. So we overbidding from the list price. Everything was listed around like 500,000-600,000, but they're going between like 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And so we went to our max budget to get this house. And now I'm like, oh my God, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom bungalow in Peterborough. But, this is for the long term. I'm not worried for the long term, even if there is like a little correction that may happen with growing interest rates or whatever the case may be over 10, 15 years. I'm not worried.
Right. Now, one thing that I know that we were talking about was you were looking originally in the Toronto area.
Yes.
So talk to me about that, how you went from Toronto out to Peterborough. Like what made you make that decision?
I follow real estate regularly. So I knew what the prices were like. And we thought, well, maybe we'll get a condo here. But actually it was your spreadsheet. So factoring in all the closing costs of acquiring a property here and with a double land transfer to get within our price range. So our max budget is 750. And we're looking at these like condos that weren't even 500 square feet. And given the pandemic, I mean, I don't know how things will go back, but I don't think that the 5 days a week, 9 to 5 is going to be coming back for a lot of people. So people are moving out. So yeah, we were thinking to buy like a 450, 500 square foot condo with the maintenance fees that always go up and the cost, like closing cost of acquiring that property, it just didn't really make sense to us. So I'd rather get a house where there's potential for, expansion if we wanted to, and in a nice town where maybe, I don't know, depending on where our kids go, but if they're like globetrotters, then we're going to piece out at Toronto and, maybe go to Peterborough or go to the Kawarthas and see how it goes. It's really pretty out there. It was ultimately the cost and I think the shift to how people work, but this market's crazy. I mean, a semi a few blocks from us sold for 1.8 million. And I'm very anti walls attached.
Anti-walls. It really just speaks upon the fact about helping our kids, right? Like if our kids want to stay in the Toronto area when they're like ready to buy in 20, 25 years, they're going to be priced out of the market, right? People are already feeling that pressure here. So by owning just that one more property, right? You're giving your kids a fighting chance, right? To potentially own here in the Toronto area, should they choose to, right? Now, another thing that you went through was picking a realtor because you're working with a realtor here in the Toronto area. And
Yes.
you're like, okay, Sylvia, I need to find a realtor out in the Peterborough area. And you did a bunch of interviews. How did you do these interviews? Like, what kind of questions did you ask? Because these are questions that people will have, like when they're talking about picking a realtor.
So I would actually do this step a little bit differently, because what we did, so we interviewed with 3 realtors, and again, the Peterborough market being so nuts, it sounds like this is like activity that they had not seen before. So these multiple bids, one of the houses that we liked had 21 offers, just crazy. And in talking to our realtors, the realtor we spoke with was lovely and she seemed to know the market. She was ambitious and driven. And I asked her about her experience and who she's bought and sold with. And she seemed great. Like, she primarily deals with sellers, and her 2 colleagues are their buying agents. So
the buying agent. That was Kayla and Kyle, was it?
Yes, Kayla and Kyle. And they were super responsive, which I really liked. They had this WhatsApp chat so that we were all on the same chat with my husband and with Jessica, who's the main, like the selling realtor. It's her team. And the other 2. So they were constantly like very communicative, which I really liked when compared to another realtor that we had spoken with, but he was like really hard to get on the phone. It took him like 2 days to call me back. And then to call me back, he like missed the time and he was too busy. And I needed somebody, I don't live there and I don't know Peterborough. So I need somebody who's like super responsive and can answer all of my questions.
Right.
So that part didn't jive well with me. And then the 3rd agent we spoke with, the vibe that I got was that she was like very chill. And again, I needed somebody who was very like kind of go-gettery. She was just like, yeah, you can see what happens. The market is what it is. I was kind of like sort of laxed about it. And I wanted like more.
You wanted more oomph. You wanted someone more to take oomph, charge, to take direction, right? So when you're interviewing these 3 agents, you were looking for availability, you were looking for good communication, and you also went with your gut feeling.
I did. Yeah. And I went with my gut with some of the other questions that we had asked, and they seem to know the areas really well. But what I do regret not doing a bit more thoroughly was I had asked them for a reference. And I said, ideally, somebody who is from the Toronto area who you worked with to acquire a rental property in Peterborough. And the name they gave me and the person that I ended up speaking with, she was like, yeah, they were perfectly nice to work with and everything was fine, but I knew exactly what I wanted. So I knew which area, I knew which street. And I said to them that this is where I'm looking. So they're perfectly nice. They were very responsive. They were great. They grew up and live in Peterborough. And I wanted somebody who knew the locations, but she was like, I knew what I wanted. Kind of like coming hot over that. I was like, well, okay, well, I guess in hindsight, I was like, if that's the only reference, like maybe I should have. And I say all of this because then when we actually went to see the properties, we went into the house and they were like, oh, so here's the house. Well, what do I need to know about it? Like, tell me stuff about it. Like, what should I know about in looking at this property? Is there anything that you're noticing that's like problematic? And ultimately, I think I'm really familiar with these things. And like, we renovated our own house. So I knew what to look for and things, some of them had like sloping floors, and one of the house we walked in, you could smell the dampness immediately. I didn't really speak to those things. And I'm like, don't you? Like,
so it's like pulling out information from the
It was like pulling out information.
It's like, just tell me kind of idea.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, but I'm also very chatty and a little bit overbearing sometimes. So maybe they were terrified. I don't know. So anyways, yeah.
So let me ask you this. You're a very analytical individual. I'm hearing this from our conversations. And we had one conversation and I was like, analysis paralysis.
It's a real thing. It's definitely a real thing. Yeah, because you can.
But you still did it. You still jumped in with 2 feet and you still did it, right? Like, you analyzed, you got the information, and you just went for it.
Oh yeah, anybody who follows real estate, like, nothing's a sure thing. But if you're gonna do something, and if you have money just like kind of sitting, I mean, it's not sitting around. Like, I'm not this like, baller.
It's your pillow. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But if you're going to do something with it, and we have other investments, so we're not like putting everything into real estate, but if you're going to do something with it, I see the increase in property values. I mean, even in Peterborough, the houses, I know the market's really crazy right now, but the houses that sold in like November, December, now they're like between $50,000 and $100,000 more from like 4 months ago.
From 4 months ago.
completely nuts. So I had my maps out and, and I was looking, deciding on Peterborough, we printed off this giant map and I mapped out all the properties and I'm like proximity to the schools and proximity to parks. And if you're walking here, what would that be like? And, really mapped it out. And I did the same with other neighborhoods, but you can do this for, ever and not make a move. And it seems like the prices just keep going up. So it's just do it. Just go. And
just go in. Just
go. And you're going to freak out.
Just
jump in. You're going to freak out like I did. And I'm still kind of freaking inside. But
so it's like what Nike says, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just do it. The numbers make sense. You understand the numbers. We take out the emotional part of it. So, okay. So now that you bought in Peterborough, what are you planning to do with management? Are you going to manage it on your own? Are you going to hire a management company? What are you thinking in that regards? Have you even thought about that?
Yeah, the plan is to do it ourselves. The house that we ended up getting is super cute and renovated. It actually reminds us of the very first house we had that was also small, which I like. It's 3 bedrooms. I'm even if we rent it out to students, it's not big enough to have a party in or anything like that. So I'm hopefully we'll rent it out to some people who'll take care of it. But given our experience with home renos and knowing, touch wood, what we've gotten ourselves into, we're going to try and do it ourselves. See how things go. I have a ton of research to do on how to find tenants and questions to ask and what to check for. But yeah, we're going to do it ourselves.
Good. Okay. So just 3 more questions here. What were some of the challenges of deciding to go down the jump method? Are you facing any obstacles today? So I think we talked about a lot of that. Are there any other obstacles that you want to share with the audience that they can learn from and they can jump in? I'm hearing jump in with 2 feet, analyze it, understand the numbers, but still just go for it. Because what is it? They say, feel the fear and do it anyways.
Yeah. We were just actually talking about this, the golden toilet and, removing that financing clause. That's the thing that's giving me the most anxiety right now and did even before, because offers are just not being accepted with financing clauses. So to have the advantage, unless you have a pile of money that you still to offer way more over asking and then include the clause in the case. Actually, that wouldn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, that part of it, it's what the market is like. And I am still scared that we're going to come, the bank's going to come back and say actually 700 or whatever. But that is still, financing clauses in Toronto. It's no conditions. You just go in.
Yeah. You really jump in with 2 feet in, right? So in regards to contingency plans and the gold toilet, we talked about that and we talked about our different options, right? But we will know once we order the appraisal and then we go from there, right? But when we were preparing to put in an offer without that financing clause, we talked in depth about the gold toilet. You understood the numbers and you looked at your comparables between the different homes and what's been selling in the neighborhood and stuff. So it's all about trust. Like I said, it's all about trusting your agent and what your agent is showing you in regards to the recent sales. They must be in the last 30 to 60 days in the same neighborhood, same 3 postal codes, similar property taxes, similar lot size. You can't compare a 2-story to a 1-story, stuff like that, right? So it's comparing apples to apples, right? And that's where your realtor comes in to truly tell you, yes, even though they listed it at $1, now they didn't list yours at $1, your listing you bid on at $1, but even whatever they listed at, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what market value is, right? Because it's just a very different market out there.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is listed for $499, selling for $750. 700. It's just the list price is just
it's whatever they could put it for $1. Yeah. So how long did it take you to find this property?
Oh, not long at all. We could have started looking back in December, but it came on the market a week ago. And so we decided after doing our research, we're Peterborough seems to be the place. Let's go this weekend, drive around and see which neighborhoods that are considered good neighborhoods are which ones are the shady ones, whatever, just kind of assess the neighborhood. So you drove around the neighborhood. So we drove around the neighborhood and
doing your research.
While we were there, let's book some showings. So we saw 9 or 10 properties and, they're all very kind of similar. That style within our price range, the 3-bedroom bungalow was kind of where we thought we would land anyways.
Yeah.
And we really like this house. It's super cute, renovated. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the other properties that we saw would have required some sort of upgrade, not a giant renovation, but at least some cosmetic,
some extra work.
Yeah, upgrades to them. Whereas this one doesn't require anything. And we thought we would never get it, which is hilarious. The timing is so weird. They were accepting offers at 1 p.m., which is kind of like a bizarre time to take offers since people are working and, they need they need quick replies and people, to do the negotiating back and forth. So a similar property it had 21 offers at their 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one that ended up selling for, it was listed at like 539 or something, ended up selling for 810. Whereas these guys were accepting offers at like 1 p.m. and they received, I think it was like 6 offers.
Okay.
And back and forth meant like 3 times. We started off at 670, went up to 710, then ultimately did 50. And yeah, that was our process. So it took us, a week really from when we started looking to doing the showings, seeing the neighborhood, liking this particular neighborhood very much, putting in the offer and getting it.
Nice. So 3 things that you were going to tell your younger self that you know today that you didn't know before. What are those 3 things?
Buy your first property like as soon as you possibly can. Like take whatever money you have. My God, I think about the money that I spent in my 20s and I'm like, oh gee, where I could be now. So I would say to anybody younger, people always need a place to live. You can invest in other things, but you're always going to need a place to live and other people are always going to need places to live. So like just get into the market as soon as you can. And at least you will always have a roof over your head.
Yeah, you got into the real estate market, right? Real estate market is very, very profitable. So the one thing you would say to yourself, just get into the market.
Just get into the market.
Get into the market. Would you say anything else to yourself, your younger self? Like, let's just say you're in the JUMP program now, you jumped in with 2 feet, you bought your first rental property. Now you own 2 properties. Now you did mention something earlier where you're like, you know what, Sylvia, we could have bought in December. It's February now. Like
yes.
that's your younger self. That was your younger self from a month and a half ago. What have you told yourself then?
The neighborhood research that I did over January, I wish that we knew we were going to be doing this. We met you back in October, I think. I wish that I had done that research at that time and started following prices of homes at that time. So I could have been really familiar so that like December 16th, when we closed and we had that money, I could have already at that time been like, yes, that is great value. That is whatever, because ultimately as well, like we knew we couldn't afford Toronto. Well, we suspected. So that would mean like frequent, weekend drives out to other neighborhoods. Like this was an emotional journey, even the 1 week that we were doing it. And that was also partly why we went up to our masks. So I think of the emotional cost of every weekend going out, seeing properties or not, but then trusting that someone else is going to look at them for you and you know what they're doing, and everything has a cost, right? So the emotional toll that would have taken can be extensive. So I wish I had done this back in like October, November, when we knew we were going to go this route, had been prepared with the neighborhoods of where we wanted to look, and then been like ready to go so that we could have acquired a property then. Because even, the market just went nuts over Christmas, and, we could have gotten that house for probably like $650 back in December.
So you're saying get into real estate right away. So any first-time home buyers, just get in, buy a place, even just get into the market. And the second thing is people who are like contemplating this JUMP program, just jump in with 2 feet, do your research and just go for it.
If anyone is on the fence, you're not sure, like just start researching neighborhoods and see what rentals are going for. That was another thing we were checking, Kijiji, Facebook, local rental boards to see that was the other part of Peterborough, is that there's like a crazy shortage of vacancies for rentals. Or it seems like, based on what we've seen on rental prices are listed for, that we need to cover our expenses for the home.
Okay.
Yeah, just get in, because I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be slowing down, and people have been waiting. We bought our house together for like $570,000.
Your first house.
Our first house in Toronto, in like a historic neighborhood in Cowstown. And I remember freaking out then, because I was like, oh my God, what have we done? We bought it was an end row unit and an end unit of a row house. And I was freaking out then as well. And that house made it possible for us to buy this house. So, and even then everyone's like, there's going to be a correction. This was like 10 years ago. There's going to be the the bubble breaking, whatever.
Yeah. A burst in the market. The market's going to drop. It's going to crash.
Just wait. It's going to crash. Just wait. And if we had and we were given that advice then by others. And if we had taken that advice, that would have been it, already at our max then. And it just kept going up and up. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Beautiful. Any last minute comments that you want to share with the audience? This has been amazing.
I hope this was helpful.
So helpful.
I'm happy you asked me to do this because really, like, we've had a great experience so far. It's been a whirlwind for sure. We're just kind of in this thing now, and it's brought like this excitement and momentum. Yeah, it's great.
Today, we just talked to Mima, and her advice is just do it. Just do it. Buy now. You guys want to learn more about the Jump program? Click on the link below. Book an appointment with me. Go watch my 45-minute on-demand webinar at www.justonemoreproperty.ca. You can learn all about what it means to buy your first rental investment property and hold it long-term, and how you can build wealth through real estate. There are three main reasons to buy another property, to buy just one more property. There are three main reasons. And the first reason is to pay off your mortgage in 10 years. Second reason is to help our kids get into market later on, to help our kids with their education. And third thing is to retire with passive income. For Mima, her main two reasons for getting into a rental property is to help her kids in the future. She has young kids and she wants to be able to help them, get into the market. Her parents helped her get into the market and her sibling get into the market way back when. And she wants to be able to do the same for her kids. And then the second reason is to retire with some passive income. So those are her two main reasons for getting into the Jump program. When Mima first came to me, she was just looking for a renewal. Her mortgage was coming up for renewal. She was currently with one of the 5 big banks, and she got my name from Facebook, and she called me up and we had a conversation. I introduced her to the Jump program and she's like, let's do it. So they pulled money out and they have just bought their first property. Hey friends, thanks so much for listening to the Sylvia Ho Mortgage Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode. You want to learn more about the Jump program? Please connect with me at sylviaho.ca. Love to hear from you. All it takes is 15 minutes for us to chat to see if this will work for you. Thanks, guys.